It does, and you know, people I found. I live across the street from a police station, and I'll go and play on their property, and they fucking love it. They every day I get just thumbs up. People, there's something about the way I look when I run into cops in the wild. They're not super friendly, and I'm not an aggressive guy. I mean, you know me well enough to know that. But I've never once gotten a warning from a cop. Anytime I've spoken to a cop, they have prosecuted me to their fullest ability. But when I'm playing the pipes, they're so friendly and appreciative, and I think it might be the type of person that's attracted to being a soldier or to being a cop. The military association with the pipes, I think, does touch something close to their heart. But yeah, and I love getting that reaction. You see these hard-nosed Green Beret soldiers with a tear rolling down their eye. Like it's a really. I'll tell you a cool story too. I live in Hamilton, downtown Hamilton, which has a bunch of interesting different cultures. But as I was playing one day, I had a Somalian family stop and listen to me for a few minutes, and the mother was in not a full burqa but in a hijab. Very clearly recent Somalian immigrants. And there's a Somalian immigrant center on my street. That's how I know specifically their culture. But they loved it, and they you know, I can't imagine they've run into the bagpipes all that much. And then I had an East Indian woman named Artie stop and said, you know, my father was in the Indian Army, and his unit had bagpipes because the British were in India for 200 years, and in India didn't like the British, but they liked the bagpipes and liked cricket and tea. So they kept all those and told the Brits to fuck off. But she said, you know, hearing that makes me think of my father. Then 10 minutes after that, there's at the other end of the street, there's a senior center that's connected to a native one of the Six Nation tribes, and a woman came over and said, I'm waiting to see my mom, and she said, I got to tell you, I love the sound of the pipes. I don't have a whole lot of experience with them, and I told her a little bit about the Highland clearing. She said, you know, it sounds like you have the same connection with this that I do when I'm at one of the native gatherings and I hear the drums, and it's connected to culture and it's connected to a broader sense of who I am. And it was like in one night, it was like bang, 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 3 incredibly disparate cultures that all felt something when they heard the pipes.
I think everybody feels something when they hear the pipes. So that's right. You either love it or you hate it.
Yes. It's right? It's not. Nobody's kind of like, man, they're okay.
No,
it's like either, you know, shut the fuck up, or like, you know, come play my backyard every day.
Yeah. I love the sound of them.
Yeah, it's cool.
You should. Can you do the national anthem?
So this is one of the things that we're going to explain, just because you're a little bit more musically inclined. It doesn't have a fully chromatic scale, which means music that is not written for the bagpipes will always sound a little bit off. It doesn't have the ability to play any tune. It doesn't have the ability to flatten or sharpen notes, and it doesn't have the ability to shift octaves. It is meant to play bagpipe music.
Okay, so how does it work? You have a sack that goes underneath the arm.
You got a couple of sacks, yeah.
Okay, so explain it to me.
There's no way to talk about bagpipes without it sounding like we're describing a porn. Like it's.
So let's hear it then.
So under your left arm, there's a bag.
Okay. What's the bag made of?
You're asking some really in-depth questions. So there's one of the things that I'm playing around with is how much of my bagpipes I want to be kind of traditional and organic, and how much I want to play with newer technologies that are. Maybe a little bit easier to maintain, but not quite as traditional. So usually they're made with either cow or sheep leather, and then you have to season them, and you have to make sure that they're airtight, and there's maintenance that goes into it. I have a synthetic bag that you never have to do anything to. It's airproof, waterproof, and that's cool. But playing it is not the same. It doesn't have the same feedback to it. I was talking to Lucas. You might get a kick out of this. You like cars? So Lucas, I was telling Lucas about some of these choices. Like, you know, Rory, it sounds like you have a classic car. He's like, you know, because there's choices that you can make about something that's going to make my bagpipe sound better, and then there's choices that I make about something that's going to make it look cooler, and they're all really expensive. And it's like literally having a classic car that you want to tweak and work on.
What do bagpipes cost?